Oke, silakan Pak Nur Effendi.
Mikrofonnya Pak Nur Effendi. Mikrofonnya Pak masih ke mute.
Oke, ya.
Oh, iya.
Sharing screen-nya.
Oke, bentar ya. Iya.
Well, good evening. All. Good evening, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, tonight I am now I'm sorry because there is a baby. Okay, I and Noplia as Rika Paulino will present the material for our discussion tonight. The title is about CAM instructional design model. Will presented by Nor Effendi and Noplia as Rika Paulina. Okay, next slide. Okay, can you hear me? My voice is clear.
Yes, Mr.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, because
Okay.
okay, next. Okay, first, the definition of instructional design and also definition of CAM model. Instructional design is a system of procedures for developing education and training programs in consistent and reliable fashion, and also it is creative, active, and iterative process. And now the definition of CAM model, Morrison, Ross, and Kim indicate that instructional design model provide a systematic approach of implementing the instructional design process for a specific educational initiative. The instructional design model focuses on improving the performance of learners, which makes different from the traditional instructional design model. Okay, CAM model has three characteristics that differentiate from some other model. First, instruction is considered from the perspective of the learner. Second, the model takes a general system or even object-oriented view toward instructional development. The last or the third, the model emphasizes management and of the instructional design process. Okay. In addition to this characteristic, I would emphasize the CAM design models circular structure rather than linear, because as Morrison noted, an effective instructional design should be both flexible and adaptable. There's no perfect approach or model to design an instructional. Also, no designer will approach a problem in the same manner, and no problem also are exactly alike. That's why, as the presenter of this model, Morrison, Ross, and Kim approach instructional from the perspective of the learner, rather than from the content, and contrast instructional design with traditional design practice. Okay. Now the first key element is gonna be presented by Ms. Novali. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the change that given to us. As shown in the slide, four key elements of this CAM model are: first, whom to teach. The second is what to teach. The third is how to teach. And the last one is how to evaluate it. How to evaluate. And then here are the structure of the MRK design model that makes the 9 elements on it. As we can see there, we have this circular structure of the design model that's interrelated to each other but not dependent. In other words, there is no specific order in this completing the process. And from a teacher's perspective, the strength of this model is the concept of starting where you are. Okay, if one looks at the oval shape of the model, it can be seen that there are no steps, level, or arrows that showing the order through the elements. And there are two outer ovals surrounding the components of this design model. As we can see, these two outer oval additions to the diagram represent the managerial and feedback procedures that conducted during the design, development, and the implementation stage. Thus, the designer can make change in the content and the implementation of element at any time in the process. The Morrison, Ross, and CAM instructional design model consists of the following 9 components. As we can see here, the first one, identifying the instructional design problems and specifying relevant goals. Second, examining learner characteristics. The third, identifying subject content and analyzing task components that are related to instructional goals. The fourth, stating instructional objectives for the learners. The fifth, sequencing content within each unit to sustain logical learning. The sixth, designing instructional strategies for each learner to master the objectives of the study. The seventh, planning instructional delivery. The eighth, developing evaluation instruments. And the last one, selecting resources to support learning activities. The components of this instructional design model are like this explanation. We can see here. The first, instructional problems. In these instructional problems, before starting an instructional development project, we should ask, why do we need the instruction? And for the learner characteristics, one of the key elements of the instructional design process is the need to consider the learners from whom a program is being developed. And then the designer needs to explore the characteristics and the needs of the learners. And for the task analysis, according to the identified instructional problem or the learner needs, task analysis is a mammoth process to define the content. And for the instructional objectives of this model, the designer states the learning objectives required to achieve the instructional goals. And then in the content sequencing, as the ultimate aim of the instruction design is to accomplish a meaningful and effective learning. The content should be sequenced in a logical order. And instructional strategies. At this phase, the designer designs an instructional strategy and finds the suitable media to teach the content to the learners meaningfully. And for the designing instructional message, divides message design process into 3 sections. In these 3 sections, we have the pre-instructional strategy, which is a technique for preparing the learner for the instruction. And the second one, strategies for signaling the structure of the text through words and typography. And the last, discussion of the use of pictures and graphics within the instruction. And in the instructional delivery methods, the designer needs to identify the necessary resources in order to support the delivery of instruction to achieve the objectives. And the last, for evaluation instruments, this phase is to evaluate whether the learners achieve the learning objectives and to what degree designer needs to design evaluation instruments. The overall goal is to determine student success in learning and also the effectiveness of the course. So from what we have presented before, we can conclude that this CAM design model is a flexible, non-linear process including independent components, which still has a system in itself. As a classroom-oriented one, MRK model is appropriate for teachers or designers who don't seek a step-by-step linear instructional design, but for ones who are experienced in designing instruction and searching for a creative form of instruction. As this model requires a limited time and budget, it can be beneficial for the teachers if they are trained to use it effectively. So that's all that we can say in this time. And this is for you to give us your suggestion, opinion, or questions. Thank you. Excuse me. Any suggestion, opinion, or question? Edit the screen. Since there is no comment or opinion, we can add some more information. In other research, we have that this model CAM has become more interesting because this design is really systematic, but there is no step that we need to follow. It means we can pick the step randomly, and then we can still make it fit to the curriculum that the government told us to take. And then this model can be applied in the system that already there or we already have, like curriculum Merdeka or other curriculum that are suggested by the government. And in this model of CAM, we can make the revision before we go to another step. And these are intended to make or to decrease the failure or the mistake that may be coming or that may come out on some particular step. And then this design too not takes no time consuming to be applied or to be designed, because this model can fit the curriculum that we already have by developing the model of learning that fulfill all the requirements of the curriculum applied this time. So guys, anybody home? Do you want to share something, opinion, or anything? Or both of Penny or I can close this presentation?
Tapi jangan tanya balik, Kak. Kalau misalkan saya presentasi.
Enggak.
I have a question. No. Just kidding.
Miss Tiara.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Time.
Okay. How about advantages and disadvantages of CAM models? You said you have said the advantages because before that you said it fits with curriculum Merdeka. I think it's one of the advantages of model CAM. So how about disadvantages of model CAM? CAM model.
Okay, maybe I respond this first. Yeah, Mr. Nur Effendi. Okay. This design is flexible and adaptable, like I told you before. And for the disadvantages, in general, there is no a kind of perfect approach or model to design an instruction. So this model only a suggestion that it's depend on you wanted to adapt it or not. But in our opinion, this design is really flexible and can fit any of curriculum that are recommend to us as the teacher to apply in the teaching learning process. And wait, you need to find. Okay, since there is no specific order tool in this process, I think sometimes the teacher may become a little bit confused, maybe to decide where to start. Yeah, because sometimes the starting point is the hardest part of trying to produce or trying to make something start, right? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So no specific order, in our opinion, is the advantages, and the disadvantage too. Because sometimes we just don't know how to start. But like it or not, we as the teacher need to keep starting wherever it is, right? Sometimes we start with brainstorming the students, or we just suddenly realize, oh, this step is better to be done first, or like, yeah, just we have the brainstorming to start where to start, and then finally just follow the flow in the classroom. Yeah, I think that's it. How is it, Mr. Noratendi, about the advantage or disadvantage?
Okay, thank you so much. For the advantages is like in the screen that there are no steps that we seperti yang di layar kan bahwa difficult to speak English. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. For the advantage, like on the screen, and that this advantage, like Miss Novali said, that we don't know where do we start it, and also we have to analyze this that when we do the revision by ourselves, so we don't have any like kita nggak punya apa ya, kita nggak punya apa sih batas kapan kita harus revisi kayak gitu. Nah di sini, so we have to analyze by ourselves. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss and Mr.
Thank you for asking us. And maybe is there any more point that you guys may try to add on our opinion?
I want to ask questions. May I?
Yes, please, Miss Iskrima.
Okay, I'm so sorry if my question is out of our topic. I just feel curious with your statement that you said the hardest point of teaching is making a topic first, right? And then I don't know about your occupation right now. Maybe you are a teacher or maybe you're not. But if you are a teacher, and if you are not, just you can imagine that you are teachers. I feel curious about if this happens to you, that you feel really hard for you to find a topic that you want to start to teach your students. What will you do to overcome these situations? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I try to answer first. If I face that situation where we have a blank period or something, first I need to take a look the aim or the goals that we have to reach. Actually, we have at least the textbook, right? So without knowing how to start, at least we can check on what is the very basic from any other themes that the textbook have, right? For example, for young learner in kindergarten, maybe we can start from teaching ABC, alphabet, or teaching number. And for me myself, I can like following the flow on that classroom, check on the response or the feedback from the students, and then actually realize it or not, I already being on the part of this stage evaluation instruments or the learner characteristics, because from starting from the very basic materials, actually I try to evaluate which or what step, what kind of exercise or word that I can give the students that time. Or like I said, realize it or not, I may be already in the stage where I learn the characteristic of the learner. From their response, I can see is my student actively respond or not, or are they having the obstacles that they can solve by themselves, like that. And I think from that very basic materials, I can develop what step next I should take. So my point is, I choose to keep going on starting the very basic materials as the start that we try to apply in the classroom. And then following the next step, maybe I can choose based on the characteristics of the learner that I found or I analyzed in that classroom, or from the instruments that proper to each characteristic of our student or my student in that classroom. Do you get the point, Miss Ikrimah?
Okay, yes, I get it. Thank you for your clear explanations.
Additional information maybe you guys can add or
Okay, thank
any?
you.
Yes.
Thank you,
Mr.
Ms. Ikrimah, for your question. First, if I don't have any topic for the teaching, I think we can take from the textbook, because in the textbook we have also the teacher guide, right? So we can follow the teacher guide first, and if it is not enough for us, I think we can. Uh, I always do some practice to ask the student what do you have any difficult, ask the student what do you have any difficult in English or about the topic that we have learned. So I overcome by asking the student misunderstanding about the last material. I will do it for the time. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nur Effendi, for your explanations. I do appreciate it.
Okay, we already have
Evening. May I
question.
ask a question?
Yes, please, Miss Salama. Time is yours.
Both of you said before that the steps could choose randomly. So could you give me an example for that? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I try to respond first. Mr. Nur Effendi, you can add more after this. So,
Thank you
the
so much.
first, yes. As we can see on the screen, the steps or the stages that we have on this design, like planning, revision, confirmative evaluation, implementation, instructional problem, learner characteristic, evaluation instruments, task analysis, development of instruction, instructional objective, designing the message, instructional strategies, content sequencing, formative evaluation, support services, project management, and summative evaluation. From these all stages, maybe we can, I as the teacher, want to choose one. For example, like Mr. Effendi said before, confirmative evaluation. I think in this stage, like we ask the student what what problems they face from the last lesson that we had before the meeting today. For example, what is their problem on the materials before, and from that can be what is it called, stimulation, the stimulus for us to try to recap what they already have and what the misunderstandings that already there. And then usually at the end of the meeting, teacher have evaluated their student, right? To make sure they have something already on their mind after ending a meeting. And then after confirm that the student have problem with something, for example, they cannot differentiate to be used on past or on present tense, like that, we can take that problem to the next step. For example, I may choose project management, maybe. So after confirmative evaluation, I can take project management like that based on the problem that they face. Maybe in project management, I will manage. Will the project gonna be done one by one, individually, or in group? After I decide what project suitable for them, whether is it individual or for group tasks, I will let them done the task, and then I can, if there is something that not work in this stage, the project management, I can reevaluate. I can evaluate, is it efficient or not? If some of the group, for example, can work it well and some are not, I can keep this going on group. I decide to keep them work in group like that. And I can add the support services. So for them who need help, we can give our help there, whether giving the sources that related to the project they have, or we can give them the ideas that they need to choose. And that 3 stages that I already mentioned. The first was, was confirmative evaluation, and then I can take the stage of the project management, and then I evaluate that one, and if not working, I can do the revision, because in this stage we are able to do the revision before or after, or the no limit for doing the revision before or after one stage, like that. So from me, that was the example that I can give, starting for the 3 stages that I choose, as I explained. How is it, Miss Salama?
I
Is
think
it
it's
convincing?
enough. It's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nur Effendi, maybe can add some more or just enough?
Just enough, because Miss Rama said it enough. That's it.
Is there any suggestion, opinion, question, or anybody could share something?
Okay, I'd like to ask something about
Yes, please, Ma'am Neti.
what kind of collecting data we use.
Collecting data.
Yes,
Okay.
model.
For this model.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question. Collecting data practically in a classroom, like we know, at least we have the textbook already, right?
Yes.
And the data that we are going to use to analyze what kind of teaching learning strategies that we should apply is from the tasks that we have or we collected from the student themselves. For example, we may done the pre-test first, or we have their kind of piece of work, like maybe we give them free writing tasks, something like that, to have the starting point as the data we are going to use to decide the next step. So my point is the data we may collect from the pretest, like that, ma'am.
I don't think so.
Yes, do you have
Ask
any
about
suggestion that
what
data?
what kind of data collecting that we use, like qualitative or quantitative, that can be used in these models? Because at the age step of the camp is used instead about evaluation instrument.
Yes. Actually, in this design, the evaluation itself is not limited whether is it will be qualitatively or quantitative. Yes, I think the information that we can have from here, it's not limit whether the data collection should be qualitatively or quantitatively or both of them.
Yes. Is it we use one of them, or we can use both of them to analyze?
To analyze what we need in this design, we can choose both of the qualitative or quantitative data collection. Yes, I think that's it. How, Mr. FND?
Okay,
Any
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Mom Nettie. In my opinion, where I have read this model, the came, it could be qualitative or also quantitative, because the collecting data is based on the problem, I think. So the problem is not always the same. So we choose qualitative or quantitative based on the problem, and also the next step. And so by them, we choose qualitative or quantitative. I don't know. Thank you so much. That's it.
We can add some more, actually, Ma'am Nettie, as the information that we have, this CAM model of instructional design, in data collection, we can analyze it maybe using the content analyze technique. It means that this gonna be analyzed qualitatively.
So it means we just use qualitative.
Maybe in my opinion, prefer use this qualitative data collection. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Nettie.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any more, guys? Is there anything you disagree or agree? Viras.
Or anybody can help us to answer Mom Neticia question.
I'm on my mode on. Can see on the screen. Hand back that you used yesterday. How is it, class? Was the materials clear enough?
I think it's enough.
I think it's enough and clear.
Okay. So that's all that we can say or we can present to you about this CAM design model. Thank you for all of your responses. And if there's mistake was in our presentation, maybe we can make it right on the next time by asking to Ma'am Elan like that. So thank you for your attention. This is the end of our presentation. The next group gonna be presented another materials. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Good evening. Thank you.
Oke, thank you Pak Nur Pendi dan Bu Noveli. For the next group, time is yours.
Okay. The second group is me, Rika Soraya, and Pak Paria Nadira. Okay, today we're going to present our paper. It's about the can carry model. Okay. I will start the presentation. First is introduction. Pak, next. Introduction. Instructional design is a system of procedure used for developing instruction and training curricula in a consistent and reliable method. While the system of procedure varies, the structure of the design should be both engaging and effective for the learner. This publication applies the best practices of instructional design using the dig and carry system approach. Next, strategy and steps of learning model dig and carry. According to them, learning strategies are not only limited to procedures or stages of learning activities, but also include materials, arrangements, or learning program packages that will be delivered to students. And the first stage is instructional design is analysis to find out the needs in learning and identify what problems will be solved. Dig and carry learning model applies the attended stages, thus the development is based on needs and problem solving. And the next is the steps of learning model dig and carry. Next, Mr. First, identifying identifying instructional goals. A critical part of the instructional design process is the identification of instructional goals. When developing instructional goals, it's best to consult with a subject matter expert. A subject matter expert is the expert in the field for which the curriculum is being designed. And then a subject matter expert and creators of the curriculum should use a needs assessment to determine the needs of the learners. And the next part, conducting instructional analysis. Once instructional goals are established, an instructional analysis can be developed. An instructional analysis is a set of procedures that help identify the skills and knowledge that should be included in instruction. And the third, analyzing learners and context. When determining the learners and the context in which the learner will take place, it's important to refer the target population. The target population is the group of learners that you are trying to reach in instruction. And the next is writing performance objective. A performance objective is a description of what the learners will be able to do by the end of the unit of instruction. A performance objective should be written into 3 parts: condition, behavior, and criteria. And then the fifth is developing assessment instrument. Once performance objectives have been determined and written, it's important to consider the question, what type of assessment should be used to assess the learner's performance? And the sixth is developing an instructional strategy. An instructional strategy is a variety of teaching and learning strategies, which may include group discussion, independent reading, lectures, computer simulation, worksheet, lab work, and much more. And seventh, developing and selecting instructional materials. The instructional materials contain the content. This can be either written information or facilitated by an instructor that the students will use to achieve the objectives. And the eighth, designing and conducting formative evaluation. Formative evaluation is the collection of data and information during instruction that can be used to look at the effectiveness of instruction. And the last, designing and conducting summative evaluation. Summative evaluation is a collection of data that looks at the effectiveness of instruction as a whole. And then summative evaluation measures an entire unit of instruction and multiple performance objectives. So actually there are 10 procedures of learning models by Dick and Carey. One of them is actually revision, but I find only 9 procedures in that journal. So the next presenter is Mr. Pariyanadira. You can continue the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So 2.2 is characteristic learning model by Dick and Case. The application of this model, each component is important and no one should be skipped. B, the use of this model may enable the creativity of professional instruction designer. C, DC model provides a systematic approach to curriculum and program design. The rigor of this model is difficult to adapt to a team with many members and several different suitable for small-scale learning, for example, in the form units, modules, or lessons. Advantage and disadvantage of Dick's and Carey learning model. There are following advantage of the Carey and learning model. A, every step is clear, so it can be followed. B, organized, effective, efficient in implementation. See, it is a model or lesson plan, so it's easy to follow. D, there is a revision to the instructional analysis, which is a very good thing. Because it because if an error occurs, change can be made to the instructional analysis immediately before the error in it affect the error in the following component. E, the dig and clear model is very comprehensive in its component, almost covering everything needed in a lesson plan. And also disadvantage are rigid because every step has been determined. B, not all teaching to learning process implementation procedure can be developed in accordance with this step. Not suitable for large scale. The pilot is not clearly explained when it should be carried out and the revision activities will only carry out after the formative test is done. The stage of developing learning outcome tests, learning strategy as well in the development and assessment of learning material, it is not clear whether there is a expert assessment. Conclusion, by taking time to plan a unit of instruction using dig and carry model system approach, the instructor will be more effective in individualism learning. The main component of dig and carry model are meant to provide a cohesive and effective tool in developing organized unit of instruction. The use of this component is instructional design can help learners acquire a systematic structure of learning and promote academic success. So that's all, guys. And is there any questions, suggestion? Let us know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Pak Parya. So the other, do you have any question for my group about Dick and Carrie? Uh, Hello, do you have any question?
Excuse me. Good evening.
Evening.
I just want to ask about Dick and Carey model should follow procedurally for step by step from first until the 10. Yes, the 10 step. So we cannot skip it. Is it right, Miss Rika?
Okay. Because it's systematically by Dick and Carey. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much for Miss Salama for the question. I will answer this question first. It has 10 procedures that you should follow one by one, because if you just skip only one step, so the goal of your the purpose of our, I don't know how to say this, like our teaching and learning for the students, it cannot be achieved. So and then the model, the and Carey model, cannot be effective and efficient for applying. So that's why if you skip one staff, so we lose our occasion to how do you know, like to give the student competency and their skills. That's it.
Okay, I get it what you explained it before. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Miss. So the other, do you have any question?
May I ask?
Okay, you may.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, it's
We
Okay.
can hear your voice.
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask maybe both of you or maybe just one of you. Have you guys ever applied this model when you teach to your students? Just it. If you ever, may you explain to us what did you do? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, maybe Mr. Parya, do you want to answer this question first? And I give maybe an
Oh.
addition.
Okay, thank you. When I was when I KPL 2 in SMP 9, it's kind of hard to the student because the student has own ability. That's why that my friend mentioned it's the disadvantage to follow pick and carry because it's step by step, one by one, slow but sure. But in this case, slow but sure. But in the reality, it's kind of so hard. You know, or some students they don't like English, so that's one of the hardest to teach them in following dig and carry model. So I think that's the hardest, the problem that I have faced in PPL 2. I think that's my perspective, my experience to answer your question. Maybe my partner will add more statement or answer.
Okay. This is my opinion by using Dick and Carry. I'm actually not a teacher, and when I was a student, when I was a student, and I have an experience to teach students in SMPN 8 Palangkaraya, it was actually I don't use this model. I think that I use Kim model at the time. But by using carry and dig and carry model, it's kind of hard because we need to do formative evaluation and summative evaluation, and then I think at the time any we don't have much time for applying this model, because we just have 5 meetings, 5 meetings or 6 meetings at a time, because I'm not teaching right now, so I don't have any experiences by using any model. Just one model I think I have applied. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Mr. Faria and Rika.
Okay, thank you, Miss. So do you have any question, guys? Or do you want to give your experiences by using this model? Maybe have you have used this model before? If you are a teacher, because we are basically not a teacher, Mr. Parya and me, so we just give you an experience while we were teaching in our PPL, we say that. So do you have any experience by using Dick and Carry model? Or any other question? Okay. Or someone want to give an opinion about our paper or something? Or it's enough? Any other any other question, guys? Or we're going to the next group?
I think it's enough because you have explained it so clearly.
Okay, I think it's time for the next group for presenting their paper.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening.
Today our as the last group would like to present our material today. It is instructional material development in 4D models presented by Rispa and Riza. Okay, as the background first, as you can see on your screen, 4D development models firstly designed by Tiagarajan, Semel and Semel, they are family, so they have the same last name, which is used for the flow of learning device development, or we can call it instructional development, is basically intent for teacher training for children with special needs, or here we can say that exceptional children. And the emphasis is on the development of teaching materials. These children with special needs are handicapped children. And 4D actually consists of 4 main stages. Those are define, design, develop, and disseminate. There are 4 stages here. The first is define, and then design, the third is develop, and the last is disseminate. In define, we can conclude that it is need analysis. Activities in this stage are initial and final analysis, student analysis, material analysis, analysis assignment, and specification of learning objective. And in the second, device design, the purpose of this stage is to produce a learning device design. In the third, produce a product. The purpose of this stage is to produce learning tools that have been revised based on input from experts. And the last, using the tools. The purpose of this stage is to conduct a validation test of the learning tools that are used, have been tested and revised, then distributed to the field. As the first stage, we can call it define. In define, there are 4 stages here: preliminary to final analysis, material analysis, task analysis, and the last is specifying instructional objective. In the preliminary to final analysis, the teacher find out the information about the characteristic of the student, including their cognitive development, academic background, social and economic life background. So, in the second, material analysis of this material is the basis in the preparation of learning objective. This material analysis is also useful in determining the part of the material to be studied in learning. And the third, task analysis. This task analysis is based on the basic competencies and achievement indicators in the material. The last, specifying instructional objective. The activity carried out at this stage is to describe the basic competencies into more specific indicators and are adjusted to the results of the material analysis and task analysis carried out previously. The second is design stage. There are 3 steps here. The first is media selection, second is format selection, and the last is initial design. Media selection, if you are guys a teacher, you know that media selection is, as the teacher, we should know the student need before that we do the analysis in the define stage. So which media is appropriate for suitable for our student. And the format selection, choose a format for designing context. The format means the learning strategies, learning resources, principal characters, and the step that are in accordance with the learning model used. So in the format design, we decide which strategies, model, or method we will use. And the last is the initial design of the learning tools. In this study include a learning implementation plan, student worksheet, and learning outcome tests. The design of the learning device and the resulting learning outcome test instrument is called draft 1. And the next slide will be presented by my friend Risva.
Thank you, Ms. Riza, for the question. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to continue the presentation about the third develop. In the context of developing these models, development activities are carried out with the following steps. The first, model validation by experts, and then revision based on input from experts at the time of validation. Next, limited trials in classroom learning according to the real situation to be faced. And then model revision based on the test result. And last, implementation of the model in wider scope. Next. Okay, for disseminate, it consists of validation testing or testing validity, and then packaging, diffusion, and also adoption. This stage, in the stage of using the tools that have been developed on a wider scale, this stage is divided into 4 phases, namely validation testing or testing validity, and then packaging, diffusion, and also adoption. Based on Tia Garajan, 1974. This measurement is carried out to determine the effectiveness of the developed product. The last activity of the development stage is to carry out packaging, diffusion, and adoption. The packaging of the learning model can be done by printing a guidebook for the implementation of the learning model. After the book is printed, it is disseminated so that it can be observed, diffused, or understood by others and used adopted in their class. In the context of developing teaching materials, the disseminate stage is carried out by socializing teaching materials through distribution in limited quantities to teachers and students. Next. Okay, for the conclusion, we conclude the material, the topic of 4D models. It consists of advantages and also disadvantages. For the advantages, it is more appropriate to use it as a basis for developing learning tools, not for developing learning system. And the description looks more complete and systematic, and also in its development, it involves expert judgment. Therefore, before conducting the trials, the learning tools should have been revised based on the assessments, suggestions, and input from the experts. And for the disadvantages, however, in this 4D model, there are also limitations. One of them is that there is no clarity which one should come between concept analysis and task analysis. Okay, I think that's all for our presentation about the 4D models in the presentation. Please, if you have question or suggestion.
Hello, Miss Riza and Miss Risma. Can you hear my voice or not?
Here, clearly.
Can you hear my voice? If it's not, I will just type the question in chat. Okay.
It's clear enough, Krisha.
Oh yeah, if it's clear enough, what I want to ask is, as the theory said that the 4D model is for the exceptional children, right? And then the 4D model is consist of a lot of 4 main stages, which is why it is called 4D, right? And then the 4 main stages also consist of several sub stages. And what I want to ask is, which stages is the most crucial in your opinion? And then because it is for exceptional students or children, and there are a lot of stages that is quite complex, do you think it can be done only by a teacher, or it is have to be done in a team or with some experts like that? Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So you have 2 questions, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the first question is which one is the most crucial stage? to conduct, and the last is, can you repeat? Sorry.
And the last is because the stages are quiet.
Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Okay.
Is it can it be conducted by only a teacher or in a team? Is it correct? Okay. Yeah. The 4D models is very complex models in my opinion, because like you said before too, like we have explained before, they have the models have 4 stages, main stages, with sub stages under. So like define, it has 4 stages, design has 3, if I'm not mistaken, development, and so on. So in my opinion, and my partner can add some more, the most crucial stages is define, because it is the basic thing the teacher should do before do the other stages. And for your information, these stages must be conducted chronologically. Yeah, so you cannot do it randomly, like the teacher do design first and then development and then the define. No, it should be done chronologically from the define, design to develop, and the last is disseminate. So the main stages is, in our opinion, is define. Why? Because before doing everything, you should know your student need first. Like I said, we present here. We do the prior knowledge before we decide to go on to the next step. So like the material will be very terpengaruh by the students' cognitive, their academic background, the social, and also their economic life background. So in the preliminary final analysis, it is very crucial in our opinion before conduct everything, because it is the basic, the very basic in doing these 4D models. And then for the second question, can it be done by only a teacher or in a team? Of course, it can be done by only a teacher. Why? Because this is our job. But it will need more time, because by doing this, it is very complex. It more times to conduct this, but in team, maybe, of course, not maybe, of course, it will be easier. But in team 2, they should have the same goals and a very systematic procedure. So whether it can be done by only a teacher or in a team, it can be done by both teacher and a team, but in time effectiveness, of course, it is better do in a team. Is it clear enough?
Ms. Riza?
Is it clear enough, Krisha? Or my friend, my partner, Risva, would like to add some more, please?
Ms. Riza, thanks for the occasion. I'm going to give some more opinion by me. Also, actually, I agree with the
Yes, Miss. Thank you.
Can I give some additional opinion, Ms. Krisha?
Sure, you can add some more.
Okay, actually, I agree to Ms. Riza opinion in the crucial stage come from the first stage, of course, in define, because in define stage we have to analyze based on the initial analyze, and then student analyze until we have to design the goals of the learning process, teaching learning process. So what the goals of the our teaching learning process in this defined stage. But we have to remember the another crucial stage come from the last stage. It is come from the disseminate stage, of course, because some people forget this stage is very crucial also. In this stage, we have to evaluate the what is the our instrument, our design, and then another material that we have to use. So we have to remember in the disseminate stage, it is another crucial stage for us as a teacher to do this for the materials, because we have to do validation in here, we have to do evaluate the teaching learning process, and then we have to do what is it, packaging and diffusion in these stages. And of course, based on the your question, you asked to us about the conduct of this material. I mean, conduct of this what is it, conduct of these models. Yes, of course, based on these models, we as a teacher, we design the models, but we also have to, we need another contribution from the team, like I mean another teacher, English teacher, and then also and we have to use our students' contribution for the doing this analysis or manage or for conduct these models. Just think. Thank you. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, do you have another question? Anybody else?
May I ask question?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Please.
Okay. This 4D model is for exceptional students, right? Then I listened to your explanation about the stages, especially the design stage, which is the purpose is to produce a learning device design. So my question, is there any special learning device for the exceptional students? Or some special strategy for designing the learning device for them when apply this model in the classroom? Is it clear?
Sorry, could you repeat again your question?
My question is that, is there any special learning device for the exceptional students or some special strategy for designing the learning device for them?
Learning device here means the learning tools.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I understand from the explanation.
Okay.
So maybe the presenter will explain detail.
Risva, you or me?
Maybe first, and then will we continue by you?
Okay.
Okay. About
Okay. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, about the special learning device or strategy, because for the material, for us as the teacher have to more creative, and then have to more as what is it, as a teacher mover, in teaching learning process. So we have to do this model more creative, maybe by using what is it in the teaching learning process by using technology, and then we have to setting our class by creative methods in learning process. So in this design, we it consists of media selection, format selection, and also initial design. So in this step, we have to more creative as teacher, and actually we can use the technology information in this tools for the teaching learning process by application, also by doing more tools in using technology in this era. Yes, it's based on your creatively as the teacher. You can using and doing teaching learning process by the technology application and more. I think maybe Ms. Reza, could you have some opinion?
Okay, thank you, Risva. Here what I catch is the question is, do the teacher should provide a special learning device for the handicap, right? For the handicapped children, right, Miss Suaibah?
Yes.
Not for the regular children. So the
Yes.
handicapped children, the special children. Okay, honestly, it is not my basic because I'm teaching in a common school. But in my opinion, actually, for the models is formerly for handicapped children, but what we discuss here is not only for handicapped children, but also for common children. But if you ask for the learning device, special learning device for handicapped children, it's actually depend on the needed of the children. For example, if the children is blind, they need a braille letter book, buku huruf braille, to teach them how to read in braille letters. And then for the student with mungkin tuna rungu atau in other special needs, of course, they need a very different learning device. But for the example, as I can mention, is the braille letters book. Itu yang paling umum biasanya. And then for the models, why is it can be conduct in regular school? Because actually, the more complex it is, the better actually, but it needs more time. So for the learning device, as the question asked from Miss Waibah, ada beberapa learning device. There are some learning device that can be used for handicapped children. For example, is braille letter books. Is it clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So do you guys have any question, or is it enough due to our limited time?
I don't want to ask, but I want to give an addition, may I?
Sure.
Okay, maybe my questions, my addition is related to who was the questioners before, Miss Suaibah, is that right?
Yes, Miss Waibah.
Okay. I have a brother and he is a deaf person. Because of him, so now I can talk with gesture, yeah, like A, B, C, and everything. I agree with Riza's statement that actually for what can we say? Special needs students, right? For special needs student, we have to apply specific or something special treatment not only the media, but also the treatment, right? And then, yes, I really agree with the statement of Riza, but right now government have a what can I say planning on I don't know it is already applied in Indonesia or not, that the government want every school like me and actually at my school is a regular school, but the government wants the regular school in Indonesia to be an inclusive school. Have you ever heard about that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Inclusive schools means that we have to accept the special students, right?
Yes.
And I think because we are teachers for regular students, we have to prepare related to the special needs for the teachers, for the students' need. I think, like, I don't know, maybe someday in the future we have ADHD students. Maybe you ever heard about ADHD? Have you?
Mental health, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have to, because in my school we have like 2 or 3 students that have special needs actually. So because here in Palangkaraya, and I do believe that you know that Man only has one in Palangkaraya, right? And we have so many students, and yeah, we have like 3 or 4 students that have special needs because of inclusive program from the government. And I think we have to be ready if someday we have students that have special needs like that. Okay, I think that's just my additions, and I can say that this kind of awareness for all of us to be ready to have us students like that. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Ikrimah. Actually, I have a experience too. I was teach in elementary school. It is as you mentioned, sekolah inklusi. It is a special school that determined by the government. So not every school is sekolah inklusi. So just there are some chosen school actually. As I know, of course, right now the regular student, regular school can accept the student with needs, special needs like that. But actually, the program is conduct like this. The special needs has the grade, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 until grade 4, if I'm not mistaken. So the sekolah inklusi only can accept the student with the special need in grade 1, if I'm not mistaken. For example, grade 1 is sorry to say, misalnya siswa dengan mata yang terganggu tapi hanya sebelah. Nah, seperti itu. Tapi kalau student dengan blind or deaf itu belum bisa diterima di sekolah inklusi karena gurunya harus benar-benar mampu seperti Miss Ikrimah bilang tadi, berbahasa isyarat, bisa membaca huruf braille. Nah, dan itu sekolah biasanya di sekolah lebih diarahkan ke sekolah SLB. Tapi kalau misalnya siswa hanya ada beberapa grade yang dianggap ringan ya, mohon maaf. Misalnya siswa lamban belajar, hiperaktif, kemudian like I said before, mungkin jari tangan yang tidak sempurna, itu masih bisa diterima. Tapi kalau siswa dengan special need, very special, something like blind, deaf, something like that, itu tetap diarahkan ke SLB. Begitu. Yang sepengetahuan saya, kami sebagai guru waktu itu diberi arahan, diberi pendidikan untuk sekolah inklusi. Tapi ya betul sekali, government have a very good program. I really support it, that the regular school can accept the special student, but still in a acceptable category. Okay, thank you very much, Miss Ikrimah. Okay, guys, I think the time is up. You are already tired. Thank you very much for all the presenters before us. And for my partner, especially Rizva, thank you so much for everyone who give your comment, question and suggestion. It is very, very helpful for us. And thank you for Komti, Yogi, and everyone tonight, that present tonight. So I think this is all enough from our group. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, and thank you for all all of you this evening.
Nice day. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, thank you for all your
Night,
present.
everyone. Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone. I'm so tired.
Me too.
Don't think about yet.
Udah Kak, biar aku end nih.
Yes.
Oke,
ya.
thank you.